Hey Slingers, welcome back to another week of the Wordslinger podcast. I know there was a pause in there, but we're going to talk about that in just a minute. This week we're talking to Krissy Monroe. She's the director of Kobo Writing Life. We're going to talk about Kobo and a whole bunch of other stuff, so stick around. This episode of the Wordslinger podcast is brought to you by Draft to Digital. Convert your manuscript, distribute it online, and get support the whole way at drafttodigital.com.
It's the Wordslinger podcast, where story matters. Build your brand, write your book, redefine who you are. It's all about the story here. What's yours? Now, here's the guy who invented pants optional, Kevin Tomlinson, the Wordslinger.
Wordslinger.
Well, I am Kevin Tomlinson, the Wordslinger. I am so glad you're here. You're probably so glad I'm here after a break of several weeks with no explanation. I know, man. I'm really sorry. Here's what's been going on. A few things. So first of all, I had a couple of really big technical glitches happen all at the same time. I say a couple. I actually mean several. I had. Let's just run down the list. I had a server go down, a brand new server that I had just migrated over to. So my site was down, hosting was down, everything was down. Some glitch has happened with a couple of episodes. I cannot, no matter what I do. I've even tried deleting them and re-uploading them. And there's a couple episodes that just simply will not load and play on certain services, including iTunes, the Apple podcast app. And I'm really hoping that is not the case with this episode, because that blows. So there was that. I had, my site was down. I had email was down. I had everything just imploded, and it all happened at to the minute when I was leaving to go to conferences for like a month. So there's been that. And there's been some other challenges. I'm going to level with you. The Wordslinger podcast is a lot of work, and it's a lot of time. And I don't always see a direct benefit from it. So sometimes it gets a little discouraging. And I've been kicking around the idea of closing the show down. I won't kid you. I get, anytime I think about that, I get emails, phone calls. I get all kinds of people popping in to tell me, please don't shut it down. We love the show. We love, the positive messages, the people that, the guests. And so that makes it tough to walk away. I'll admit that. It makes it really tough to turn my back on the audience. But I don't know. I have been thinking quite a bit about phasing things out. It is just becoming more and more difficult lately to do this. And I've also been thinking about shifting my focus back to just things that are purely about my fiction. I've got several novels. I got a couple of novels sitting here that need to be polished, that need to be edited. I have one in particular that I really need to get to and get polished and ready, because this one, unlike my other novels, I'm not going to publish immediately. I'm actually, I had pitched quite a while back, a couple of years ago, to an agent, an idea. Because like a lot of authors, the traditional publishing side isn't something that I just never wanted to have part of. I grew up wanting to publish with traditional publishers. So I thought, what the heck? It's a bucket list kind of thing. I've got a nice little career brewing. I can afford to take a chance with a book or series on a traditional contract. So we'll see. Now, here's the thing. Just because I'm willing to try that doesn't mean I'm willing to just, we'll say, bend over, metaphorically. Like, I'm not just going to take whatever contract someone wants to throw at me and and just let them run over me or anything. I'm much more savvy about the industry than I was the last time I had a contract. I know a lot more about publishing in general, about marketing, about how to build and maintain an audience, a platform. So I think there's a much better opportunity this go around. So we'll see. And if things don't line up the way I really want them to, no harm, no foul. I can move on unless I've signed something that gives them the rights to a book. I can always take that book and go self-publish it. So I figure it's not wasted time. So that's some of what's going on. Sorry about the noise. Here's some noise for you. Hear that? I'm adjusting my microphone if you're not watching on YouTube. So this week I'm talking. Let me back up just a second. I am talking to Krissy Monroe this week. She's the director of Kobo Writing Life. If you don't know what Kobo is, here's the rundown. Kobo is a free self-publishing service. It's a lot like Draft2Digital, but it is its own entity. It's one of Draft2Digital's sales channels. So if you sign up with Draft2Digital, you can actually distribute your books to Kobo, or you could go directly to Kobo through Kobo Writing Life and publish your work direct. There are a lot of advantages to doing that, and there's no reason why you shouldn't do that per se. I like keeping everything in one place, so Draft2Digital was always the best answer for me as far as publishing and managing my catalog, because I don't like dealing with multiple sales channels. I'm kind of getting to a point where I don't particularly care about going direct to Amazon. I'm going direct to Amazon. I've got some books that are actually in KU. I think I've talked about this before. I'm going to be phasing those out over time as I build up a nice momentum with them. It's hard to walk away from KU money. We'll all admit pretty freely, but I like everything to be manageable from one nice dashboard, which is why I go with Draft2Digital. But all that said, Kobo has a fantastic reputation. It's a very easy ecosystem. It's a fantastic platform, and now that they have this deal with Walmart, where they're distributing to Walmart.com and even into Walmart brick and mortar stores, Kobo is and they're hot right now. They're hot. We're very happy to be able to distribute to them from Draft2Digital. But even if you decide to go direct with Kobo, I can't say enough good things, and I can't say any bad things about Kobo. They're a fantastic company. We've always loved them. If you've listened to the show for a while, you heard Mark Lefebvre on the show. Krissy has more or less taken Mark's place at the company, taken on the role that he was occupying there. So this is going to be a great interview. You're going to like this a lot. We'll get into that in a second, but I did want to throw one more thing at you. Hold on. I'm going to pause. Hold on. Ooh, my throat was starting to close up there. I was going to throw one more thing at you, and then it just went right out of my head with that cough. Oh, well. Let's get on to... Oh, that's what I was going to tell you. I'm experimenting again with the format of the show. Those of you who like the news segment, I have to apologize. I'm not going to do a news segment today. I may do a nudes segment today, but I'm not going to do a news segment for this episode. And if you're a big fan of that or something, I really apologize. It's just, I'm trying to streamline, make it as easy as possible. I'm an easy sort of guy. Like Sunday morning. At any rate, I'll go on about more stuff at the end of this episode, but let's we're nearly 10 minutes in. Let's go ahead, jump right into this interview with Krissy Monroe, and I hope you get a lot out of it. I love Krissy, and I was on the Kobo Writing Life podcast, which you'll be able to find a link to in the show notes of this episode. So make sure you check that out. That was a good episode, so make sure you check that out. And without further ado, let's hop on in and let's have a great chat with Krissy Monroe from Kobo Writing Life. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. Now today I'm talking to a titan of industry, which is an in-joke that we may cover later. But I'm talking to Krissy Monroe. She's the director of Kobo Writing Life. She's in the fancy Kobo Writing Life recording booth, actually, making me feel kind of inadequate, Krissy.
Sorry, but not that sorry.
Not that sorry. It's a good-looking booth. Yeah. I used to have one very similar to that, but we sold our house, and I got lots of excuses. So how's everything going, by the way? You've been out conferencing.
Yep, just like the rest of those titans, I've been out there on the road, but it's awesome. That's one of my favorite parts of this job.
I know.
Being out in the field and talking to authors one-on-one. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. Now you are, I was going to introduce you as the one, the only, the incomparable Krissy Monroe, and I didn't do that. I should have.
It's never too late.
It's never too late. Let's just tack that on there.
Okay.
Now you recently took over, and I say recently, it's been a while now, but you took over some duties that were previously held by Mark Lefebvre, right?
Correct.
And I don't know what all those are. I never fully knew the split that you guys had when it came to things, all things Kobo Writing Life. So you want to?
That was part of the magic, the illusion. I can't reveal my tricks, but no, Mark and I always very much balanced responsibilities so that we could cover for each other. And that was really the best possible learning experience for me as I kind of came up under him. But we've worked together for 5 years. I started as the US manager, so that was very focused when we were extremely acquisition focused on getting new authors into the platform and succeeding with sales, and then kind of expanded to cover Canada as well. And then he and I were trading off a lot more. And then he decided it was time to move on. So selfish
bastard went on to his writing career.
Right? How could he? No, I talk to Mark all the time. He was just texting me yesterday, actually. So it's like he never left, except for there's no tall, bald dude sitting next to me anymore.
Right. Right. Okay. So what, tell me, because there are some folks who don't know what Kobo Writing Life is and what it means into our industry. So why don't you break it down for us a little?
All right. So we are the free self-publishing platform that is part of Kobo. And for those who don't know Kobo, we are a Toronto-based ebook and audiobook retailer. We have our own line of devices and a free app for, iOS, Android, and web. And we are an extremely globally focused retailer. So for those who might be living in a country where, let's say, Amazon is dominant, there are many countries where Kobo is dominant. So if you're an author hoping to get your books into a wide range of readers around the world, you should absolutely consider uploading and getting your title into Kobo's catalog.
So what are some of the biggest benefits of going direct to Kobo?
Good question. So benefits in general, the biggest distinguishing factor is that Kobo as a company focuses on books. So we're not selling other products. Our whole thing is getting good books into the hands of dedicated book lovers around the world. So we're always trying to innovate the store experience so it feels like a custom bookstore, even though it's online. We're always putting out new e-readers and improving the app to make reading the best experience. And we're not trying to use books as a means of selling other products. And then for the Kobo Writing Life team specifically, we're only focused on authors. We're not focused on customer service in any other respect. So I'd say that's the biggest advantage of thinking of Kobo in general, where books are always going to be our priority. That's the only way we make money, is selling books, audiobooks, and devices. And then Kobo Writing Life specifically, we really focus on putting authors first. We want all of our authors to succeed. We're super engaged in the community. It's kind of us and you guys at this point out there. I think it's safe to say Kobo and Drafted Digital are kind of the only people still out there in the field connecting with authors in a really one-on-one way. So that's how we operate.
That's the way I feel about it too. And I know that there are some who would argue that they generally work for competitors. But I feel the same way. And what's interesting is, we distribute to Kobo,
Oh yeah.
but we're in no way competitive with you guys.
Nope.
And in fact, there are lots of really good use cases to use one over the other. But I've always wanted to ask you, because I've talked to Mark about this, but I've always wanted to ask you specifically, like, how do you see that relationship? Do you see, I don't want to, I don't want to frame it in such a way as like, is there a conflict or is there a problem? But, what do you, how do you sort of frame the relationship between Kobo and D2D when it comes to talking to the folks you work for example?
I would say absolutely. Like, personally, we're all friends, and
Yeah.
professionally, I think authors have more opportunities than ever to distribute their books, and they have choices. So I think, it's not a competition. It's they have to choose what's best for them. So for some, they want that nitty gritty control and to be handling every single retailer and dashboard themselves. And
Right.
for them, going direct makes sense. There are people who they want it all to be in one place, and for them, D2D makes perfect sense. There's pros and cons to both, and I think mostly pros on both sides. So
Yeah.
I guess in that way, I only see us as a competition in that we're trying to both compete to create the best possible experience for authors, and I think that's a really good thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
If we're competing and going head to head, trying to make the author's life the best it can be, I
yeah.
think everybody benefits.
Totally, totally. So and then internally, like D2D is kind of treated as a publisher in a way here, in a weird way, in the same way that other aggregators are, because you're bringing all of these authors and titles to us in a way
Right.
that makes it a lot easier for us to handle those titles. And then we get to handle the one-on-one author relationship on the other side from Kobo Writing Life perspective. So
That's
it's
cool.
interesting. Yeah, but I
Yeah.
love it. I'm really happy that both opportunities exist for authors today, quite honestly. That's how
Yeah.
I feel about it.
That's how I feel about it. And, it is interesting. And we people will ask me, well, it's funny. And I think you saw a thread recently in Facebook, and there was a lot of back and forth, and I didn't weigh in at all because I want authors. Some authors feel that there's no point in going to an aggregator. They don't want to cut out that percentage. It's so easy to go to Kobo, and it is incredibly easy to go to Kobo. So I don't fight them on that. I'm like, you should definitely go straight to Kobo. There's no,
Yeah.
it's all about convenience for draft to digital. It's all about, let's group everything together and make it as quick and easy to check royalties and check sales and things like that as possible. But there are definite advantages to going direct. So I don't fight it.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, I feel much the same way. And whatever, there are threads. I think authors just have to make the decision that works best for them. And like all of the conflicts that are out there, even, authors who ask me, how do I feel about people going in KU? Like, I don't have I'm not agnostic. Obviously, I want as many awesome books available to Kobo
Right.
readers as possible, but I also want authors to be able to make a living from their writing. And some authors are making more one way or the other, and that's fine. It is what it is right now.
It seems like there's a trend lately, and I'm sure you've seen this from your end as well, but we're noticing that a lot of authors are starting to kind of move away from KU.
Oh yeah, big time.
What's your theory? Why do you think that's happening? I got my own theory, but what do you think is happening there?
I don't think it's a theory. I think the reality is that authors are getting kicked out of KU for no good
Right.
reason, and realizing that that's a really terrifying place to be. The whole don't put your eggs in one basket scare tactic is true.
Right.
And suddenly that idea of having a bunch of different avenues for selling, and even some of like the top authors who are right now talking about KU have their books wide or do a release wide and then kind of go back and forth. So
Yeah.
I think as a business owner, and the growing trend, which is really exciting, is to make a living from your writing. You want to be able to keep making your living every single month
Right.
and minimize risk, right? I think that's what it is at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
It seems
yeah,
like
so
Amazon's recently made some changes that are creating more risk, or it feels like
yeah,
more risk, and it's less convenient because risk and convenience were the two major factors for sticking it out with KU, I think.
Big time.
And as we start seeing reviews pulled and seeing, sales pulled, even worse, in my opinion, you start yanking people's sales away. I think that's going to get someone's attention. But yeah, it's interesting to watch what's happening. So are you guys seeing an influx of new work because of that?
Oh yeah, big time. It's awesome.
That's cool. Anything notable? You got some superstars coming in?
Some people who I'm sure you would know just from the circuit, some diehard KUers who I never thought would go for it.
I know.
Yeah.
That blows my mind. There's at least one author I can think of that I won't name on air that told me specifically she would never leave KU. And she recently, I think she may have gone direct to Kobo. I think she went direct to practically everyone and uses us for Seleno and some other stuff.
Yeah, I think I know who you're talking about, but we don't have to name
We won't mention any names, but
we'll keep it secret.
But you're right, diehard people coming over.
Yeah, I think, I am all for a wide, healthy, competitive industry. So it's exciting to me to see that happening. And then on the other side, we're going to be we just launched audiobooks in the fall. And we're going to be launching a partnership with Walmart in the summer. We just got Findaway Audio flowing through Kobo. So I think right now is a really awesome, exciting time to be wide. So it's pretty exciting for me, having been here for 5 years and fighting what can feel like an uphill battle.
Right. It does feel like vindication when you've spent all this time telling people, you should think this way. You should consider this. And now the market is basically telling them to think that way for us. So kind of nice, I guess.
Yeah. How about you guys? You busy over there?
Oh, of course. Yeah, no, we've been busier. It's been crazy. And we're introducing new features, of course, and we've got some new things on the board. So people are real excited, and I think I think you're right, though. I think it's all about how many opportunities can we provide for those authors. You mentioned Walmart, and I know some behind the scenes stuff, but I mean, can you talk about that deal a little, or is, how much of that is public knowledge right now?
Not a lot, unfortunately. Even launch date, I can't really say right now, but it is going to be a really exciting partnership. What I can say is that it's US specific. So we're starting with Walmart in the United States with in-store sales and an online store as well. So
yeah, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Walmart, that I don't know if it's necessarily going to be the Kindle killer or anything, but I mean that's a big market. It's comparable in size to Amazon's market, I think. So very interesting. Yeah, I know you guys are excited about it.
We're working extremely hard. That, and then we also just have launched audio in France. So that those two together are.
Now, is that you're looking for translation, or is English language doing okay in France?
English language is doing okay, but it is looking for French content specifically.
Yeah. And I know that the French government is actually pretty keen on that. They I don't know any specifics, but I do know in general they like to keep things French. Who can blame them? Who can blame them?
Yeah, we get a piece of that in Canada here too.
Yeah, I know. You can tap into the whole Quebec market, right?
Yeah.
Leverage that. Do you have a lot of authors from Quebec?
We have a lot of authors and a lot of readers who have a specific Quebec store, and they love that experience, which is kind of interesting.
I got to dust off my French. I got to start
doing some audio translations.
Yeah. I got to get that going because it sounds like that's a brand new market. Now that's the French market isn't one that we've generally in the past penetrated much, right? I mean, that's brand new all around. So is that audio? You guys already distribute ebooks there, though.
Oh yeah, big time. Our partner there is Fnac, and they're an industry leader, and we've been selling well there for quite a while.
Yeah, I so neglect foreign language markets.
I know. Do you know what? Everybody does. It's not just you. It's hard to justify that return on investment unless you can really put the marketing behind it, right? What I've seen authors do is invest the time and money in getting a translation, and then they just do the fatal error that happens in the US sometimes, where you put a book live and then wonder why it doesn't sell. Like, you have to have a marketing plan in that language.
Right. And
So
that's the problem. It's, it's tough enough to get an accurate, localized translation. As I had a former guest, Azugma is a translation service, and they do localization. So they'll actually take your manuscript and translate it into the local dialect, not just the
cool.
language. So you'd have to use a service like that, I guess, to get those ads going.
Well, that's what I tell some people who are looking at translation, is like, give your translator a couple ad copy blurbs for you too, and make sure that you have that stuff ready to go so you can try to establish a brand. Yeah.
That's a very good idea. My hang up with that, honestly, is not so much I could get the translation done, but I want it to be, marketing is such a fine-tuned, there's relevance and context to consider,
Yeah.
So it's more than just get it into French. I gotta know that I'm talking not just the language, but talking the language, and making sure I'm hitting the right notes with those people.
Absolutely. There are a couple, but I feel like this industry could be bolstered. Specific, like, social media managers in France and Italy and Germany handling stuff for a couple indies, where they handle the social side of things and keep it engaging. And those are the people I've seen really succeed with their sales. Or authors who are multilingual themselves and can do it, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's my thing. I'm so DIY that I'm basically going to download Duolingo and work on and work on French. French, German. What are some of the other hot markets right now? Spanish, yeah. So I'll get
Italian.
it. A couple hundred African dialects. I'll get it. I'll have it.
And for us, Dutch, I would say. Dutch is a good one to consider. Yeah.
Really? Yeah.
With Kobo Plus. Yeah. So we have.
That's interesting.
The subscription service there in the Netherlands and Belgium. And yeah, Dutch, I think there's some crazy stat on what percentage of Dutch families have a Bol account. That's our partner there. So
yeah,
that subscription service is going extremely well. 1 year in right now.
So what would you say is your hottest non-US English speaking market worldwide?
Great question. Australia, New Zealand is really kicking right now.
That's us too. Yeah. Especially romance. But thrillers too. I have a nice little following in Australia and New Zealand.
That's awesome. Good for you.
That's not bad. I'd love to see that go up. If I actually don't mind if like 99% of my income starts coming from Australia and New Zealand. I got no problem with that at all. As long as it's more than $10 a month. So
yeah, just start getting flown over there.
Exactly right. I've been invited. I've had several people who have podcasts over there are like, when you're here,
right?
Let us know. You can stay in my she shed. Which is sure, yeah, all right. Then, but they got like everything in Australia is genetically engineered to kill you, though. So I don't know if I want to sleep in some shed. Some 8-foot spider comes along and
that's it.
Me.
I'm going to RWA Australia alongside Dan, I know, and that'll be my first time there. So
yeah, somehow Dan somehow manages to always land the Australia gigs, London. I don't know how that it's a roll of the dice, supposedly.
You gotta spend more time in Oklahoma.
yeah. All right. Well, if that's the price of getting to go to Australia, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know.
Or Bali, isn't he doing Bali?
We were supposed to be sending it. We'll talk about that off air.
Okay,
I may be doing Bali. I was originally doing Bali, but we're moving our offices. Have you heard about this?
Yeah.
So that's really thrown off a lot of our schedule, honestly. So
yeah. Big time.
I'm okay with it. I was on the road for quite a bit. It's kind of okay to have local gigs.
I feel you. Yeah.
So speaking of conferences, I mean, you're at quite a few. You just got back was Boston the last one you went to, or?
So I did not actually go to Boston. We had a family wedding that weekend, and it was a bit of a last minute one. We had already planned our budget for the year and I couldn't get it in. But I sent Tara, who's the head of our ops team, went to RT,
Yeah.
which is now the last one. So I'm kind of sad I missed that, but we'll see how it reincarnates itself next year.
Yeah.
I heard a rumor they might do all genres, so we'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
I'm going to RWA and then NINC. I think I have another. Oh, RWA Australia, of course.
Yeah. We'll hang out at NINC. Are you going to Indie Book Fest?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Well, we'll see. We're at 2 conferences in a row.
There you go.
We'll do some drinks. Yeah. See, and I kind of dig going to the Florida-based conferences because I'm a big Disney nerd. So there's usually at least one day in there where I can slip out and go hit Disney or something. So
yeah, no, I have a soft spot for NINC. I always will. That was my first conference after I joined Kobo, like a month after Mark brought me there in 2013. And I had been on the traditional side of publishing for many years. So I was very used to like Frankfurt, London, Bologna, which is very different. And then I got to NINC and it was just awesome.
Yeah.
Like
it's like a week-long party.
It is. But then
everybody's so smart. Everyone you meet is such a genius.
Exactly. Yeah.
Including you. You show up. I count you. You're there. So
Thank
everyone I meet. Now we're going to try to do karaoke again this year. Are you going to belt it out with us?
I'll see you there.
Cool. Yeah, NINC is a good one. I tell everybody, if you can get into NINC, if you qualify to join.
Yeah.
You know, start getting the newsletter, which is pretty handy. But definitely go to that conference because it's I don't know. You just meet so many. You connect to so many people professionally in the industry. You connect to people, but you also connect to this community.
Yeah.
And it's got a growing indie presence, which
Oh yeah, big time.
Very cool. Yeah.
Yeah. When I first went there, it was probably still 50-50, and I don't know what the ratio is now, but.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. I think hybrid has really kicked in. I think a lot of those authors are hybrid authors at this point.
Mm-hmm.
You see a lot of that, hybrid authors at
Definitely.
KWL?
Yeah, I love it. I think it's really exciting. I was actually just talking to Rachel Heron and Jay Thorne, and Rachel is a hybrid author. And Jay brought up the really interesting point that like hybrid authors are the luckiest of all because they have the true choice. You know, they have this opportunity from an editor publisher to consider, and then they also have the option to go indie.
Right.
So it's a pretty small percentage still of authors, I would say, but a really unique one that gets to take advantage of both.
Yeah. Do you guys have programs that would be particularly useful to just the hybrid author as opposed to full-on indie?
That's a good question. I wouldn't say that we have a specific program set up for them aside from the same kind of service that we offer to everyone. But it's not really a different experience in terms of uploading, you know?
I couldn't really imagine where it would be, but
yeah. No, it's a fair question.
know.
There are, you know, or I don't know if they even exist anymore. There have been more like white glove hand holding experiences at some of the other platforms, but we've always just tried to give that service to everybody. That's our deal.
Yeah. That's us too.
For you. Yeah.
Things like the like our universal book links, you know, you can use those for anything. So with the author pages and all that stuff that we've introduced, I think it's really handy for the hybrid author in particular, because now it's kind of difficult to get all your stuff in the same place.
Yeah. Big time.
You know, unless you spend a lot of money on a website or whatever.
Yeah.
That's cool. So we covered Walmart, which I was very excited to hear about, and France, which I'm less excited to hear about, but only because I don't speak fluent French yet. Duolingo this afternoon apparently. But what other kind of big things you guys got in the works? Anything you can share? I'm digging for dirt now, Krissy.
I know you're trying to get the scoop. I understand. So I would just really stay tuned on the Walmart stuff and think about audio for those who haven't invested in it yet, or who are like about to push that ACX 7-year button. I would really take a pause and think about what's happening in the market right now, especially for audio.
I really wish I had had any hint that all this stuff was in the pipe when I got my ACX contracts, you know, those 7-year deals and everything.
Yeah.
with Find Away and you guys. I mean, it's just, there's so many opportunities in audio. Are you
Google
seeing a lot of
Play.
growth in that? Google Play?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even they're going for it.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we launch audio in September, and it's a huge growth area and focus for us. So
Yeah.
more of that, big time.
How are things going with Kobo Plus?
So that I actually did touch on a little earlier. That's the Dutch
Oh yeah, that's the
Belgium
Dutch.
program.
That's right.
Yeah, but it's growing
Completely blew it out of
really.
my head.
It's all right. So it's growing very well. So we launched that February of 2017, and it's like a quick opt-in on D2D or on Kobo directly.
Right.
And a lot of that is really picking up. So when it doesn't work is when people like just dip the toe in and try to pull out really quickly.
Right.
We don't have an exclusivity requirement. We just want your books to stay in for 3 months to gain traction in a totally new country with a new readership. That's what we find actually works. We're not just like trying to hoard your content. So
Right. Sorry about
that. Nice little sound effect. I like it.
Yeah, so that program is similar to KU in the way it's structured, right? Like almost like page read type stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. So if we don't pay per page, it's the completion. So like
Right.
once you cross a certain percentage, it's considered read.
I think it was like a 20% read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a 60% royalty that's kind of split between, it depends on how many people are subscribed. It's a bit of a complicated math, but it works out quite beneficially in a way that's, doesn't sink anyone in terms of a subscription payment.
Right. Yeah. There are a lot of us that are hoping that does really well, and then you guys start sort of seeding it into other markets, like this.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. I knew it. I knew if I pestered you enough. All right. Well, look, I don't want to take up too much of your time because you got lots of, new Kobo features to help roll out for the author community, and we'll let you get back to that. But why don't you tell people and I want people to tune into the Kobo Writing Life podcast as well. We didn't really talk about that.
Yeah, we definitely should. Yeah. So my other name is Lord of the Podcasts. For anyone who doesn't know. But I do co-host the Kobo Writing Life podcast, where we're at like 112 episodes now, I believe. Mm-hmm. And just launched a fresh theme song, which is pretty awesome, actually.
Oh, I haven't heard the theme song yet.
It's
I haven't
really
heard that
good.
yet.
So, okay, but here's the cool story. So Kobo's legal counsel, Micah, he's also my really good friend. He is the lead singer in a band, a Canadian band called Tearjerker.
Okay.
So we used one of their songs as our theme song, and I think it's pretty awesome that like Kobo Legal Counsel is singing the theme song to the Kobo Writing Life podcast.
That's okay. That's pretty cool.
But I really love the song, and I think you should check out the podcast. We talk to all kinds of fun, cool people.
Not me though. Nobody's talked to me yet. Nobody has talked to me yet.
Soon. You very courteously invited me first. So
that's true.
Without a doubt.
Well, I had to, because every time we've seen each other or I've communicated with you guys at all, I always say, I need to get you on the show. And then by the time the conference that we're at is finished, I no longer have the will to live. And so I don't actually get around to doing it. So I had to hop in and do that and make sure I had you on.
I really appreciate it. And I will get you on ours now. See?
I know you will. That's all good. That's all good. People hear plenty from me. Don't worry. All right. Why don't you tell everybody where they can find all things Kobo online?
Yeah, so to check out the platform, it's kobo.com/writinglife. And we have a blog that's kobowritinglife.com. And we're on all social, and the podcast, just search Kobo Writing Life. You can grab it wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Basically, if you just type in Kobo Writing Life in any given search box, you're going to find us.
Some way, somehow, you're going to find us. But on social, we're starting to do a lot more device giveaways, which has been pretty exciting.
Yeah.
So, especially on Instagram, I think we're going to do another one in June. So if listeners
very cool.
want to check out the opportunity to win a new device. And we are launching a new device. That's another thing I could say. We just announced that yesterday. The Clara HD is our new device. I'm not going to say the price wrong because I don't know it by geo. I only know the
It's
Canadian price.
$1,000. That way I set that expectation high. So whatever you release it for is going to sound like a bargain.
It is a bargain. It's an awesome device. So funnily enough, my first child, my daughter is named Clara. And
Okay.
so when I found out it was going to be named that, I jumped on the chance. We get to beta test the devices here. So I was like, get me in that beta. So I've been around for a couple years now. I pushed my way into that testing program, and I can tell you it's a really awesome device. I really like it. If people are looking for an entry-level reader, it's a really beautiful one.
And is it, but will it only read Kobo books, or can people load other stuff on it?
Kobo has a read freely.
Why would you want to, right? Why would you?
No, but we do have a read freely approach. That's always been in our motto. So you can sideload other EPUBs, not Mobi.
Right. And you can get those EPUBs, by the way, you can do that at Draft2Digital. I'm just saying. You can convert to an EPUB at Draft2Digital.
Nice. Tied it right back into
perfect for those arcs. Perfect. All right. Okay, cool. All right. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me. It's funny because in the little thumbnail window, the background goes completely
a little dark.
black.
Am I just a floating head?
You're just a floating head. Very artsy. It's very artsy. When you pop up though, when it switches over, I can see the tiles and everything. So
all right.
That high tech vibe. All right. Well, thank you so much for taking time to chat with me. I know how busy you are. Trust me. So I appreciate you coming around.
Thanks for having me. It was great to chat with you, and I will see you on the road soon, I'm sure.
Thank you. I'm sure you will. Yeah, it's very soon. All right, everybody. Right now, you're probably hearing the groovy theme music. You may dance in place at will. Stick around for industry news, all kinds of other goodies right after this break, and I'll see you all on the other side. And thank you once again, Krissy Monroe, for dropping by.
Thanks, Kevin.
Hear your book the way it was meant to be heard. With a fully custom soundtrack based on your material. An album of music that perfectly fits your characters, your settings. Hear your book today. SonataInscribe.com.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Krissy Monroe. Kobo Writing Life is it's kind of a favorite of mine. We enjoy a really great relationship with them at Draft2Digital. And there are a lot of advantages to going direct to Kobo Writing Life. You get the whole promotions tab that you can help you with your promotions. And we can do some promotions with Kobo through Draft2Digital. But you get a little more direct control when you go direct. So, there's ups and downs all around. I personally always liked having everything in one place. So that's why I went D2D, but Kobo has been they're so great. They're so, on point. Their customer service is comparable to ours. They have the promotions tab. They have now this new deal with Walmart, getting you into not just Walmart.com, but also the brick and mortar stores. So there's a lot of, we can do that through Kobo, but there's a lot of advantages to going direct to Kobo. So hope you enjoyed that interview. I hope you got something out of it. Krissy's a great girl. Now, if you haven't checked it out yet, go check out my interview on the Kobo Writing Life podcast, which was a lot of fun to do and has a lot of great information I think you're going to enjoy. So check that out. Now, we're not going to do, I kind of hinted at this at the beginning, but we're not going to do a news segment per se this week. And if you enjoy those news segments, I'm sorry, but I'm trying to streamline. What can I say? I'm trying to make sure this show is a little easier to produce, a little quicker to produce. So here's what's happening. First of all, next week, here's what's coming up over the next few months. Next week, I'll be at NINC. Now, today is Friday the 21st. And yes, I'm recording on the day this goes live. But if you're listening to this on the day it goes live or anytime close by, I'll be at St. Pete's Beach, Florida, which is just outside of Tampa, for NINC, N-I-N-C, the NINC conference. That's Novelists Inc. Now, if you're not familiar with the conference, go check it out. Search for that on Google. You should try to attend this. And if you can qualify for membership in Nink, you should do that. I believe you have to sell about, I think, $5,000 worth of a book in a set time or something like that. So it's not impossible to get in. I personally think that the requirements for joining Nink are a little higher for indies than they are for traditional publishers. Something I'm working on talking to them about, but neither here nor there. Great conference. We're actually sponsoring the conference. We're one of the sponsors of the conference. We'll be sponsoring a karaoke night Saturday night after the banquet at Nink. And this is a party, man. Free drinks. We're going to be, it's an open bar, so come, drink up, sing up, hang out. I love karaoke. I'm going to rock it out on the stage, so come check that out. Lots of people attending Nink. Joanna Penn, Mark Dawson, I think Krissy Monroe may be there. We got a lot of people who are going to be in attendance, and it's a great way to connect. So if you can't attend officially, and there is a price tag to attending, but if you can't attend officially, you can kind of stop into the hotel. There's nothing stopping you there. And just kind of pal around with people out in the lobby or what have you. You won't be able to go to the panels or any of the actual events. Now the karaoke night, that's pretty much, it's in a public forum. It's open to everybody. So that's a tip. All right. So that's coming up next week. I'll be there all week, which means there probably won't be a Wordslinger podcast episode next weekend. I'm sorry. It's just the way things are working out right now. Okay. In October, I will be in Seattle for about a week around my birthday. Now, I haven't decided whether I'm taking the whole week off for my birthday or just going to work from Seattle, capital of the coffee shop, the American coffee shop. I'm definitely going to be doing some touristy stuff on there. I'm kind of thinking about doing a Fraser Crane tour. I don't think there's an official one. There may not be an official one, but I plan to make one happen. Just kind of, I'm going to look for. I found online the inspiration for Cafe Nervosa. And a couple other spots that have appeared in Fraser. Love the show. So I'm going to go have a sherry somewhere. So I'll be there. Haven't decided whether I'm going to be working or taking a brief vacation. I'll probably work. I'll definitely do some writing while I'm there. Beyond that, let's see, in November, I've got 20 Books to 50K coming up. That's going to be in Vegas. I haven't been to Vegas in a while, so that's going to be a great trip. I can't wait to see everybody. I know there's a lot of people who listen to the show who are going to be there, so can't wait to, shake hands with you, buy a drink for you, hang out. So look me up. That'll be, a few days in Vegas. After that, the Smarter Artists Summit is shutting down. They're going to be having their final conference, I believe, in February of 2019. So really kind of sad to see that summit go. I've been to every single one of them. I was there at the Colonist Summit before it was Smarter Artists Summit. Me in a room with about 20 people, including Damon Courtney, who you've heard on the show. He's the founder of BookFunnel. He actually introduced the idea of BookFunnel at the Colonist Summit that first year, when there was only like 20 of us in the room. So I've actually interviewed quite a few people on this show who were in that room. So, and everyone's gone on to do big things. So there's that. I'm a little sad to see those guys shutting that down, but I understand why. Same reason I toy with the idea of kind of shutting down Wordslinger. Not because I don't love, being a part of the community and don't love producing a show and what have you. It's more that, it's as much as it's built up. Wordslinger. Okay. Let's just segue into a whole segment about my thoughts on Wordslinger podcast and the future of the show. So I love the Wordslinger podcast. I love being a part of it. I love that it's become what it has become, but it never quite fulfilled something that I originally started it for. It has been fantastic for expanding my network, for expanding my knowledge, for connecting me with such amazing people. It's been an excuse to talk to experts, to make friends with people whom I never would have had contact with otherwise. So, and it's been a chance to share all this, the knowledge and wisdom that has come my way thanks to these connections I'm making. If not for the show, I don't think I would be at Draft to Digital. I don't think I would be attending most of the conferences I attend. I think that the show opened doors for me that would not have been there otherwise. And I get a lot out of producing the show, honestly. But where I am now is I'm trying to focus on my fiction career. And the show, as fantastic as it is aimed at indie authors and is not aimed at my readers. And I feel like I need to start producing some content that is aimed at that crowd, the readers who buy my books. So, and not that, there are quite a few of you who buy my books, and I appreciate you. I really do. But I need to expand that circle too. So there's been some thoughts about maybe I should shut the show down. Maybe I should retool it, or maybe I should refocus, or, I don't know. But I invite you to be a part of helping me figure it out. If you'll hop on over to kevintumlinson.com or wordslingerpodcast.com and hit the contact button, send me your thoughts. Send me encouragement. Send me your ideas about, how I could reconcile writing fiction or doing fiction-based content with this nonfiction show. I've had some thoughts about other podcasts I could start in its place. I just don't think I would have the time to do yet another podcast with my current schedule, but stranger things have happened. There's just a lot to this, and it's not an easy decision either way. So I had thought about shutting down. I've talked to people about shutting down. That may shock some people, but I almost did shut down when everything went wrong. I had servers break down and websites crash and email crash, and then the conferences came along, and I started to wonder if it was worth it. And so there's been some challenges, and they're not over. Next week I probably won't be able to have an episode ready. The week after that I'll be recovering from NINC, so who knows if I'll be able to get an episode ready. Because I got to do the catch-up work and that sort of thing. So there's a lot to consider. So I would love to hear your feedback, input, words of encouragement, advice, wisdom. Feel free to share stuff with me. Everything right now seems to be working the way it's supposed to. It remains to be seen whether this episode will appear in the podcast app, but I'm working on figuring out what's going on. But if I do continue the show, I can promise you one thing: it is going to be streamlined even further. I started to get a little fancy with it, and I don't mind. Some of the things I was doing aren't troublesome at all, but anything that's going to require me to take extra hours in the week right now for this is probably not going to happen. I don't think I can sustain the kind of thing I was planning to do with it if it's not contributing to my bottom line financially, which it does a little, or contributing to movement toward my mountain, as I call it, or as Neil Gaiman called it, which is the fiction writing career. That is ultimately what I want to do. One day I won't be doing the Wordslinger podcast. One day I won't be working with Draft to Digital or going to conferences as a vendor, or doing probably 90% of the stuff I do outside of my writing. I won't be doing any of that one day, because the goal is and has always been to write fiction full time. And I basically could do that now, which is a startling realization. I could do that now, but I feel like there's still more to be done in the rest of this world. So no plans to leave Draft Digital, by the way, and no plans to necessarily leave well, I'm still considering the Wordslinger podcast. There we are. Let me know what you think. Because sometimes the best approach is to get a whole new perspective on this stuff. Because right now my perspective is kind of limited. So I'm seeking your counsel and wisdom, your encouragement, your inspiration. So I don't want to leave anyone hanging or in the lurch. I want to always produce something that, inspires and informs, educates, and entertains. Those are the four pillars of my life and career. And no matter what I'm doing, those are going to be there. And this has been part of that. So I'd love to hear your take on what you think I should do, or what you're getting out of the show. Lend me your hope, I guess. So, all right. That sounds like a downer, but I'm actually very upbeat and positive right now. I'm reconsidering a few things. So hop on over to kevintomlinson.com or wordslingerpodcast.com. Let me know what you think. And I will talk to all of you again, I promise, at some point in the very near future. God bless you. Have a safe and happy weekend. If I don't get to chat with you next week, I will come back around. I will be back around. So God bless, and I'll see you all next time. Hey, thanks for tuning in to the Wordslinger podcast. Now, you can support this show by visiting wordslingerpodcast.com. That's where you're going to find back episodes, books by me, and links to anything and everything Wordslinger. And be sure to subscribe to this show on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, and anywhere else fine podcasts are sold. I'm Kevin Tomlinson. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.